With me, Lasha Kingsley in Douala, Cameroon. On today's edition of the program, we are discussing gender-based violence in school milieu in Cameroon, as well as some communities in the country. And joining us on today's edition of the program is Madame Kumichii Tilder Ndichia, who is the CEO of Gender Empowerment and Development. I will be right back after this. Madam Kumichii Tilder Ndichia, thanks so much for accepting our invitation to join us on this edition of the program live from the United States of America. Good to have you, Madam.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be.
Okay, let's kickstart with this very disturbing news today. This week, that over 53 persons died along the Sancho Nchang route. Cameroon is mourning. I want you to comment on that before we get into serious business.
Oh my God, that was the worst thing I ever saw when I woke up yesterday. It was so embarrassing that in 2021 we could still lose people. And I don't know what happened, but all I pray is that the souls of the departed rest. Also praying that the people should be able to, that our government should be able to what is happening to our groups. Why many people die at time like this.
Okay, Madam, your organization has been doing a lot when it comes to fighting gender-based violence in the school milieu and in Cameroon. Let me begin by asking you this question. What is the situation of gender-based violence or violence in the school milieu in Cameroon?
I will start answering you by saying that since 2014, we started schools in the northwest, in the southwest, in the center at that time. And it was as a result of all evaluation and discovering that there's a lot of violence that goes on in school, which accounts for the freak out of students and also for a weak educational impact on our students. So since then we have been doing, and currently we are working in the northwest, southwest, littoral center, and west. And what we're doing is that we are working in schools. Now, to answer your question, there's a lot of violence in schools. And violence in schools come from different schools. Now, when we talk about school-related violence, it really means that in schools, separation between boys, girls, women, and men, there is a distinction between the young and the old. There's a distinction between the rich and poor children. And so sometimes, because a child from a rich family has a point that is the teacher, they are taught differently because they are concentrated, they teach some of the teachers concentrate on the children and then abandon whose parents cannot do something for them. Yes. And we also discovered because of the big salary amount that the teachers hardly really do teach. And that is violence. Then the aspect of bullying in schools, there's a lot of our schools. Students bully each other, teachers, students, and vice versa, students bully each other. We also discovered that there is a lot of sexual violence in schools. There's constant rape, constant sexual harassment. And when you go to the university, higher level, you realize there's a lot of what we call sexually motivated marks, sex for grades, which makes it difficult for us to have people who are enough able to give back the country a finished education. So we discovered that the degree of violence, school-related gender-based violence is so high, and because of that, many people are suffering, and our educational is suffering as a result.
Yes, madam. Recently, close to a year ago, we had a situation in one of the schools in Douala where a primary six teacher raped half of his pupils in the classroom. And recently, we equally have a female teacher who was sexually violating some of the kids in one secondary school still in Douala. The situation keeps persisting.
Yeah, you're right, and we can say that from the perspective of our organization, we have lots of examples of like this that are happening all over the place. I think that a teacher like the teacher who have class, I think such teacher is because people cannot give you their children to take care of them, and you take the sex toys. I think such a teacher has to be arrested for such an act. And in the same way, the female teacher, how on earth can somebody who is not that to say that a person has a problem we are yet to identify?
Let's move on with the discussion. And we keep having this issue repeating itself in our school. Who is to blame? Is it the administration or the parents who might not be, taking good care of their kids or protecting their kids?
Yeah, who is to blame? I think so many people are to blame. The first blame I give to the parents. And I give it to the parents because many parents have not transferred their parental duties to the schools. Many parents don't talk about sex education to their children. Many parents do not actually parent their children in such a way that is empowering to make the children able to say no to sexual advances, say no or to say to any form of violence. And those families are also very violatory. So a student who is coming from a family that is always fighting, that is suffering from domestic violence, such a student will be a perpetrator of violence in school. I want to start by blaming the parents. Most of the parents are not doing their duty well. Some parents send children to school and they never check on those children. They don't know what is happening to the children. They don't know if the children are studying well. They don't even do the school. Those, which is very bad and very dangerous. It's not acceptable. That is one. The next people to blame are the schools themselves. When we related gender-based violence, there is structural violence in schools. In schools themselves, there is structural violence. Some schools not construct the classrooms in such a way that will accommodate the number of children. So most schools are focused on money. They are economically focused and to make as much benefit as possible. And so they construct very small and tiny classrooms, and then they fill them up with children. And it's such a class that is overcrowded. How many children can really truly learn? Children are not able to learn. That's one. Next point is that sometimes there is the way they construct the toilets in the school, the way they construct the staircases, the way the school layout is by itself is not welcoming to the children and cannot accommodate the children well, as well as the teachers. So some teachers are not well paid. Some teachers are exploited. Some teachers are scolded by the rich parents. Teachers are scolded by the proprietor, and all of this together bring about a lot of violence in some of the schools. So the schools themselves, they are to be blamed. The parents, the school, proprietor, the teachers, some of the teachers who cannot take that away from the children, then some of the teachers who work teaching not because they want to work, because they want to make a bit more money. Now, the next one is, I think, this. when I say the state here, I mean the Ministry of Education. I think that there is need to review our educational system, make it gender friendly. Recently, Gender Empowerment and Development has been working with teachers and also with curriculum developers to see how we can make the curriculum of our country more gender responsive. Because recently, because currently it is also gender responsive, but the teachers are not empowered to use that curriculum in a gender responsive manner. So I have these three places that these three.
Okay, so where do we move from here? Where do we move from here?
I think as a way forward, we need a lot of education. First of all, we need to review the teachers training centers. The teachers training centers should be such that it can actually be to gender responsive. What do I mean? That the curriculum of the teacher training center should be gender responsive, and at that level, the teachers are trained on how to pass on their curriculum in a gender responsive manner. For example, even those who make our books, most of the books that are used in school, the illustrations are so gender blind. Sometimes you see all the illustrations that talk about driving only refer to boys. The one that talk about cooking only refers to girls. That is very, very empowering, because it makes a girl who knows that she can do it, can be a driver, she can be a pilot, can be a mechanic, to withdraw, because you will see that all the illustrations that are teaching in the books are showing that a woman cannot do that. I also think that we need to review the documentation, educational documentation, make it student friendly and to make it inclusive, gender responsive and inclusive. And from there, the teachers have to be empowered on how to use that material in a gender responsive manner. That is the first step.
Yes.
The second step is school proprietors have to understand that they have a duty to empower the students, meaning that they are building the leaders of tomorrow, they are building the future. And so it's not just making a bit more money, having more money in their pockets, but it's empowering a population that is going to take the different nations to another level. This therefore means the proprietors have to be careful what they do. They shouldn't just create schools because they want to make more money, but they should create schools that are empowering, schools that will help the children to study. What do I mean? The classrooms should be wide enough. If you construct a class for 20 children, make sure you recruit only 20 children, not 40. If one teacher is equivalent to a certain amount of students, we should not overcrowd one teacher with too many students. It will not be effective.
Okay.
And there will be violence in the school. While the teacher is teaching, the students are fighting. Many other things will be going on. That is the truth.
We've even had teachers who have been killed. We have teachers who have been killed by students. We have teachers who have been killed by students.
Exactly. That's what I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. But before I get to that, I wanted to say that if you overcrowd a class, you are putting that teacher, the students at risk and the teachers at risk. I went to a public school where I saw the teacher use a microphone. How can you expect that a class is so large that a teacher has to use a microphone? And you expect students in such a classroom to study? No, it is virtually impossible. Therefore, we need to review the structural aspect of our schools. And this comes from the state, which gives the dictates of how a normal classroom should be, logistical conditions. And then secondly, it has to do with the proprietors, the school proprietors. And also, there's another thing I will say before I come back to teachers losing their lives or being attacked. When you look at most public schools in our country, you realize that most of the public schools are in the center of the town because they were built in those years when the town had not yet grown. Nowadays, most public schools are to bars, close to public places. So a student cannot normally concentrate in the classroom when there are bars playing music by the side, when they're still in class and seeing girls moving half naked out there with boys playing around. You know, that is why some of the public schools have a lot of evil because of the environmental influence. Therefore, there is need to review such things. Now, coming back to the dangers that many teachers are suffering in school. Many teachers have lost their lives because of the kind of children we parents breed at home and send to schools. We don't send children, some of our parents do not educate their children to be nice children. We don't bring up our children to be respectful, to be responsible. Then we take them and send to the teachers, and the teachers are not able to handle the students. So for that reason, teachers are exposed. Now, a proprietor who doesn't pay a teacher well, you don't pay a teacher well, you expect this teacher to teach. If this teacher is tired and is not even, you have to do some extra hours to get more money. A child in class can attack the teacher that you need to teach me, and the teacher, maybe a problem may arise and then they start quarreling and they will be attacked. Also, there is a lot of drugging in our schools. Many children are practicing what we commonly call tramadol. Tramadol is consumed in schools and it is shocking. Recently, we had a video from Douala of girls who had drugged themselves and they were dancing, practicing how to dance naked in a room.
Let me interrupt.
Very dangerous.
You talked about some of the dangerous weapons being trafficked into the school milieu by these students. How do they get into these schools with the dangerous drugs? From your findings, we've been working with schools in the cities of Douala and Yaoundé.
From our finding, from our GIT, we have discovered there's hardly any security system installed in schools that can help the schools to be more secured. So children stroll in as they want and they stroll out as they want. There are some schools where some students come there just to commit evil. They are not even registered students in those schools. For example, you see a child who is coming to a school, he is determined to attack a certain teacher, but he is not a registered student in that school. So there's so many like that. So I think that it's because of the carelessness, the callous manner by which our schools are set up. And schools do not think of, I don't really think that many schools have thought of security aspects of the school. Because normally they will have to, public schools, day schools, schools where that are not boarding schools should be able to check anybody who gets into the school. But that's not the case. So people bring in knives, they bring in drug. In fact, we visited some schools. One school in the Southwest some years back, and we discovered that just a cocoa farm in front of the school was being used as a brothel. And in that cocoa farm, you could find all kinds of weapons, you could find all kinds of drugs. We also found one in the center region where just behind the fence, they are using it as a brothel. And they drug and then they do all sorts of things. There are many more like that. It is because the security issue is not taken serious in schools.
Some years back, we had that an incident at Government Bilingual High School, GBHS They Do, here in the nation's economic capital. I don't know if you visited GBHS They Do and what it looks like now, because there are security cameras and that have been installed in the school, and uniforms changed as well.
We actually worked that school, and we have done a lot of training in that school, both on gender, how to deal with gender biases, and how to deal with violence in school. So we even have a focal point, a lady who teaches there, who is our focal point, and she's doing quite a good work. Another thing that we are doing as a way forward is that we are having gender clubs in schools. We work with gender clubs, and the idea of the gender club is actually, we call them gender and peace clubs. The idea is to empower students the extent that they will be empowered enough to help other students, to help their peer group to become reasonable citizens, people who know the value of studies. Back home, there's this notion. Many children go to school without understanding why they are going to school. They only go to school because the parents say you must go to school because every other person is going to school. No parents hardly really make the children to understand why educate, why they should go for education. And that is the problem. So through the gender clubs, we are trying to empower a fewer number of children in schools who will be like a peer influence to the other students, who will be like a peer group of pressure that helps the other students to start thinking positively. We also work with school prefects who are leaders in schools. And our idea is that when a leader is empowered to be gender responsive, a leader is empowered to be to work in a violence-free environment, they can in turn influence a violence-free environment in schools. And we work with teachers. We have had a series of trainings with several teachers in all the regions where we work. And this is in a bid to empower. The thing is, it alone cannot do it because we have very, very limited resources. And so the project that we are carrying out now run till January next year. And that will, if we're able to have more, secure more funding that can help us continue, fine. But if we cannot do it, then we'll just follow up what we have been doing now. And that is the difficulty. So I think that even you as a journalist, you have your own part to play in this work. Because like what you are doing now, when you send it out, it helps people. We do a lot of continuous sensitization through media, through print media and through TV and radio. And your group has been doing a lot for us because you have been reporting on our activities. Radio, we have been passing through your radio, TV, we have been passing through. That is one of the ways that everybody can contribute, and you are doing just that.
Let's leave the school milieu a little bit and go back to where most of the gender-based violence originates. I'm talking about the community, and apparently gender-based violence is taking a different turn, especially with rape cases where perpetrators have now resorted to killing their victims. What a sad upsurge in the social ill.
There is a certain degree of fakeness in our society. In our society, what is happening is that most of our population is learning what we call modernization. Most of us are in the internet age, and so for that reason, many people learn things that are not appropriate, and to them they think they are appropriate. They think that it's another way of modernization. So people go to social media or to the internet, get perverse ideas, perversive behaviors, and they try to practice them back in the community. That is one. That is the negative influence of modernization. The second part is that we have been hiding the perpetrators for too long in our community. We know that this person, let me give you an example before talking about this. Once we were called to Yaoundé to visit a rape case. Some bike riders had raping one child who was a bit abnormal. We were called there, and when we went there, we were shocked at what we discovered. Because we even discovered that just nearby there was one old father who was intended to be the best pa in the community. And then every woman who is rushing to the market will take their baby, that pa, because the pa was just sitting, that father was just sitting in the house. They will go and keep the child with that man. And one of the mothers discovered that each time they go and put the children in there, that man was exploiting those children sexually. And he was abusing the children, but she never said it. Until that day that we came there and we were about to leave, then she said, Madam, food is still a bar. If food is still a bar, I said, what is there? She would not talk. And as what happened, as we were in that compound, we caught that car red-handed doing that to a baby of about 6 months. Now, this story, I brought out this story to justify my point that we are hiding the perpetrators. We know that this person is a perpetrator of violence. We don't talk about that. If this woman has put out a long time ago, that man would have stopped. But she kept to herself because maybe she feared, and maybe she still takes her child there. In our families, there are people who are involved with incest. They rape our children. They rape their sisters. They rape their sons, their daughters, and they abuse their sons. We know them, but we don't talk about them. Why? Recently, we have had a lot of series of rapes. About 3 in Douala, 3 in the littoral, and about 4 in the center. We have struggled to help them. We have brought in police. We are struggling to see how they can address the perpetrator. But among all of these cases, about 6 of them are within the family. And the family say, no, we don't want to spoil our family name. We don't want to live it like that. When you keep living it like that, the ills keep going. So our society is breakdown with evil, and we have.
What is the problem? What is the problem? Is this
of silence?
Madam, what is the problem? Is this some kind of mental illness? What is the problem? What is wrong with people?
I don't. In some cases, it may be mental illness, but I don't think that all is mental illness. I also think that some people have been allowed to do this for too long, and it has become a norm to them. And then also because some people believe that when they go, they want more money. The people who want them to get more money say, go and do this to your mother or to your daughter or to your sister. They go and do it. I think it is part of the societal madness that is going on. And I think, honestly, that people who are doing this, if they are being exposed, they will stop it. The problem is that we stay quiet. The culture of silence, we have zipped our mouth. You just watch. You hear a woman say that, I don't want to expose my husband who has been raping my daughter. Why? If the husband was really a good man, why should he rape your daughter? So we have been having a lot of problems with people. And actually, Chris, this question that you asked is very important, because currently we are thinking that in our next project, if we are able to continue with our project, we have to work on this aspect, this mentality of not reporting, because it's a big issue, and we have discovered that that is the key point. If we are able to get people to speak out, to break silence, to get even the young girls to speak out. Once we went to the school in Yaoundé, sensitized on gender-based violence, when we left, we kept our number, we asked the helpline that people call. But before we got to the office, a small girl was calling. And when the girl came to the office, the girl simply said, I am not sleeping, mommy. I said, why? That my uncle is living in our house and we are sleeping in the same room, and every night he rapes me. When I want to tell my mother says I am lying. When I want to tell my father says it is not true. And this guy keeps bringing me goodies when he goes out for work. When he's coming back, he buys. So the family knows that he loves me so much. But he's doing that every night and nobody wants to listen. We parents, we have to listen to our children. When a child wants to say something, you don't just dismiss that. When you dismiss, the child closes up. So we want to empower girls to be able to speak out. If this girl don't see that we have a listening ear, we will not know that this is what is happening there. Okay. And when we called the parents, they were shocked. They were shocked. They first of all refused, and then finally they were forced to sit. And then when they went and asked the man accepted. So we don't know what is going on under in our homes.
All right, let's talk about this other question. COVID-19 has also come with its own troubles. COVID-19, and most communities in Cameroon are facing some difficulties. How would you analyze gender-based violence during the pre-COVID-19 era and now?
You know, my brother, COVID-19 is another. COVID-19 is a shocker to the world. and it came when we least expected. So it has exposed people, it has exposed families in another way. Now let's just forget about COVID-19 as an illness and look at the aspect that it has grounded many things. It has caused a stop to daily activities. It has caused people to spend more time together. It has caused children to stop going to school in some places. So you see that people are automatically forced to stay in one place together. Now, before COVID-19, people did not know each other. Their husbands and wives who have gotten married and they have never taken time to understand each other. Either they use just the quarreling method to talk to each other, or they don't even listen to each other. They spend all their time at home. The husband goes to work, leave from work, go to drink, and it's after drinking that he comes home and goes straight to bed. A woman comes back from work, she's at home alone, the husband is not there. Maybe by the time the husband comes, she's sleeping. In the morning before she wakes up, the husband has gone. So they don't know each other. And then because of COVID-19, they have automatically found that they will stay in one house for longer hours together. And then they start discovering each other. They start seeing aspects of each other that they do. Those ones that they don't like, then you see quarreling, see fighting. Now, with those women who were able to do their small business by themselves, and they were not bothering their husbands who don't give not about running of the house, the women's businesses have, because COVID-19 has attacked small-scale businesses, and most women are into small-scale business. Now it has stopped, and because it has stopped, these women are not able to have money again, so they are forced to ask from their husbands. And when they ask, that's the source for conflict. That's a source for violence in the house. And then the woman may be stressed simply because she asked for the house. That's one. Another thing is children have stopped from going to school. Most parents do not know their children. The children were being brought up by the teachers or the nannies. Now the nannies are no longer there at home. The teachers are not there. You, the parent, you are forced to see the bad habits of their children. And then it is difficult. And sometimes it's not even the bad habit of the children. Some others don't even know how to handle their children. So they will just be active and they will be beating their children. Some of the children are being punished because they are forced to, in spite of this COVID-19, to go out talking and sell, which is dangerous. So there is a lot. The fact is, COVID-19 is a problem, and it came when we did not prepare, and many people are not ready to learn the difficulty that this has brought and see how they can also adjust their homes and leave violence.
Okay, we are gradually coming to the end of the program. Just 1 minute, madam. Can you tell us the way forward? Let's conclude the program. What should parents be doing?
Yeah,
what should we do?
Forward.
Yes, to end this violence in the school milieu as well as communities.
Yeah, as a way forward, I think it requires concerted action by everybody. It is not something to be done by one person. This means that the parents, the teachers, the students, the state, the proprietors, the school administrators, everybody should be on board, should put their hand on board to see how they can adjust their own section of the process. Meaning that parents should be more inclusive in their homes, should be able to follow up the process of their children's education. Teachers should be able to upgrade themselves and study and learn and be able to pass out the message, because some teachers don't learn when children challenge them in the children. Proprietors should adjust, and then the state should come out with more rules that can guide the educational milieu. Now, it cannot work if we are not consciously decide to do so. So in conclusion, it requires the conscious decision of everybody who is in this process to be able to change and make this environment a safe haven for all the children.
Thank you very much, madam, for taking time off. Thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule. It's not been easy, moving, running behind the children and at the same time talking to us. Thank you very much. We always appreciate having you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.